Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and I told you we were getting something good from Precision Matthews for this year's bash. What we have here is a Precision Matthews mini mill. It's a PM 728 VT, which I believe stands for variable speed. I'm not sure what the T stands for, but V is a variable speed. I've got it under power. It's just 110 volt. I got it plugged into that gang box up there hanging from the roof. It's got a start stop push button to power up the actual inverter, and then it's as simple as that. It's running. It's really not that loud. I do have it in low gear. It's a 2-speed system, and you got a speed pot over here. So on the low belt setting, you're capable of 1700 RPM, and then according to this, I should be able to go all the way down to 20. She's going pretty low there. Okay, I got her down to 66, and she's still got very much motor slip there. I'm grabbing that spindle pretty hard, and she's holding up. You bring it up into the torque band, and of course you're going to get more torque. It's a step type motor, but good power for this machine. It's a 1 horsepower DC 310 volt motor. So in that inverter there's probably some kind of capacitor bank or something that's boosting that voltage. So pretty interesting. I'm going to go handheld, which I know you guys hate, but I'm going to go handheld. And I want to show you some of the features of this machine. This is not a cheap Chinese machine. They use quality components throughout, and I'm actually pretty impressed with the build quality of this thing. I'll show you some features, and you can decide whether you want to pick one up for yourself. In high speed, on the high belt setting, this thing has a speed range of 50 to 4250 RPM. So if you've got those little mills, tiny little mills, you need to spin them up, and it certainly has a spindle to do that. But let's bring you in closer and have a look around. This did come, it comes knocked down. The mill is separate from the stand. I got the stand on it and assembled, and I brought it in here and got it leveled. And after we go through all the features on this thing, we're going to talk about what we're going to do with it and how we're going to give it away at Summer Bash. So let's get in a little tighter. We'll go handheld, and we're going to go over some of these features. Okay, there's a close-up of the control panel. Let's start here. You got start-stop push buttons with an indicator light to know that your inverter is either powered up or not. And you got a forward and reverse and off selector. You just use this in normal everyday operations. It's got an e-stop, and it's got a speed control here, and it's got a tachometer. So let's just go into forward, and you see here's our speed control. When it comes to smart inverters, it's nice. You can get switchy with it. Just flip it straight over to reverse. It's not going to stall. It's not going to blow the breaker. It's not going to do anything funny if you get too flippy with it. You know, on the old motor starter reversing contactors, you'd have to stop, wait for it to spool down, then switch over. This one you can get switchy with it, and the inverter is smart enough not to take 2 commands at the same time. So that's your control. Let's open up the belt guard, shut her down, and you see it takes a little while for the inverter to power down. This is it's just slowly going to turn off, and as the capacitors drain in the inverter, and I'm sure it's got some kind of a a resistor in there to drain those caps slowly. All right. Anyways, your belt changing is actually pretty easy. You got a little thumb screw right here, and you flip this guy open, and it's got 2 of the V-groove type belts. Right now you can see it's on the low speed, but you drop it here, put it on the high speed, adjustable motor plate here, So you can, and it just takes an Allen wrench, and that's on a slotted hole, and you just change your belt over to from upper to lower. If you're doing larger work, I don't see you changing the belts a lot. Just leave it on this low. You know, if you're going to do, you know, bigger mills and bigger tapping and things like that, the only time you'd ever want to switch to this high speed if you're doing some real tiny mills at super high speeds. And there's a limit switch way back here that actually shuts down the control, so you can't run this thing with the cover open, which is a nice safety feature. All right, and then you go, hey man, the drawbar's right there. I got to do this. I got to open this up every time I get the drawbar. No, you don't. Let's close that. And this is a plastic cap up top. That just snaps off. There's your drawbar. So pretty easy to get to your drawbar and change that out. Nice. Okay. The head will tilt. You loosen these and the head will tilt, so it's got a couple witness marks to get you back close. Then you'll have to tram the spindle just like you would any other Bridgeport or whatever. There is no protractor on this one. But the head tilts, but it does not nod. There's no way to nod this head. It has all metal wheels all the way around. They're aluminum, but they're very nicely made. And all steel handles, no plastic handles. So, you know, it's the little things like that that slowly creep up on manufacturers. And, you know, the little Chinese mills, the cheapies, they're made to a price point. They are built to target someone that wants the cheapest stuff, and you get what you pay for. Groundways, central oiling. We'll show you the oiling system over on the other side. Like I said, this one has a DRO installed. If you order your mill with a DRO, that's the scale right there. You know, I haven't hooked up the DRO yet, but there she is. And these are magnetic scales. But you know, Precision Matthews will install your DRO for you, so your mill will come with the scales already on it, and the reed head's already mounted. It's got a nice chip guard in the back to protect the column. And like I said, the column's all precision ground. Nice. Again, with the you know, the metal wheels and steel handles. Okay, and then all your locking hardware is all metal. These are aluminum handles, and they're the repositionable ones, so you can, you know, move them around and have them land wherever you want. Nice feature. You wouldn't get that on the cheaper versions. Way wipers out in front. It's got sliding guards here for your lead screw, so that protects the bed lead screw. And the thing about these machines, let's go to 0 here. Laser engraved, not just silk screen. That's not glaring me out too much. Okay, that's laser engraved, not silk screened. And this is an inch lead screw. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 thousandths per revolution. Okay, so it's an inch size lead screw. You know, most of the Chinese stuff's going to come in metric. So all you American guys, you know you want it. We're going to fight that system as long as we can. There's another magnetic scale under there. And then there's another one hiding right behind the table back here. There's one right back there. So we got a 3-axis DRO on this thing. What else can we show you on there? Oh, I was going to show you the, there's a central oiler. So it's got a Bijur style pump oiler. It came with oil already in it. It's got a nice screen in here. There's already a screen installed, so you can't dump a bunch of metal chips and stuff down in there, which I can see happening, you know. Adjustable gibs all the way around on all three axes. And this is not a round column mill. This is a square column, so you can move your head without losing positioning on your work, which is pretty important. All right, so nice little mill. And like I said, the mill comes just basically the way you see it. Just unpack it. You got to put a couple of hand wheels on and a couple of handles, but you do have to assemble that stand. And like I said, I already brought it in and leveled it, which was easy to do. We've got leveling legs or leveling feet on everything. It's got a little door and some. Probably gonna turn your head sideways there. I got some stuff down in there. They sent some collets and stuff too. I got them down in the drawer. Those are gonna go with the mill. But pretty heavy duty stand. I would guess it's about 10 gauge, you know. But this thing's solid as a rock. You get those four points down on the ground. And like I say, we're doing gear cutting demonstrations on this thing. And we need to, you know, make sure it's stable for the day. So we're gonna do it right where she lays, right here. Right now we're in the room with my Monarch. My Monarch's standing right behind us. So you'll be behind the curtain with this little mill, learning how to cut gears. All right, let's go in on the bench and see what else Matt sent over from Precision Matthews. Oh, here's something else I didn't. This has got it's a downfeed DRO, which is kind of nice. It's got inch and metric. It's got a 0 function and an up and down function. You know, so it's a nice little integrated quill DRO. So those come on all of them. But there's your part number. And go visit Precision Matthews over at qualitymachinetool.com, I believe it is. Okay, well, I'm done going handheld. I'm sure you guys appreciate that. I'm always a little bumpy. But we showed you around on the machine and the things it comes with. And what, you know, why does it cost more? That's why it costs more, because you're actually getting something that's worth having. Let's go in on the bench. We'll take a look at some of the other stuff that Precision Matthews sent over. Like I said, we're using this for a gear cutting class. So and I didn't get a hold down kit. This takes, it looks like a 3/8 keyway or T-slots. So I'm probably gonna have to make some T-slot nuts and some hold down hardware. But what he also sent was a Brown & Sharp number 0 dividing head, or it's a B&S 0 clone, and it's Taiwanese made. You probably saw Yuchel Kim from Woods Creek. He took delivery on one of those, and he took it all apart and inspected it. And I didn't see that much wrong with it. You know, it looked like a pretty nice little unit. But being the ADD guy he is, he went full he went full on that one. Or not ADD, OCD. So OCD is not necessarily a bad thing. We're not going to take this one apart, but we're going to take a good look at what it takes to put that on a mini mill, because we've got a special size T-slot. So we're going to take a look at the keyways and the indexers and see what we need to do to them to make them fit properly and line up, and what kind of hold down hardware we're going to need, or what kind of hold down hardware we're going to have to make. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so this came with our mill. It's a dividing head, operation manual, and parts list. That's nice. Okay. Worm backlash, direct indexing, indirect indexing, differential indexing. Wow, it tells you how to hook it up to a gear train on a mill. Well, that's a full-size mill they're showing. All your change gears, all your formulas for figuring it out. Exploded views, tailstock exploded view. Yep. Dividing table for worm ratios. This is a 40 to 1. and which is the same as a the B&S, the original Brown and Sharp. They've got a self-ejecting key. Why would they do that to us? That's the first thing's coming off of there. That chuck doesn't spin, so that's what comes with it. That's a little threaded collar that looks like that goes over your. That's probably what mounts your wheels. We got a set of jaws here. The way they're curved, those are outside jaws. So you got a set of outside jaws. Get some hardware. You've got a dog, a drive dog, and we've got some keys. There's 4 keys, so I'm sure that's 2 for the dividing head and 2 for the tailstock. And I think these usually come set up for, yes sir, 5/8 right there. So these will fit on right out of the box. These will go right on a full-size Bridgeport or Bridgeport clone, but they're not going to fit the mini mill. So those are going to have to be trimmed down. Easy enough to do, and I'll actually do that because guess what? This dividing head comes with the mill. So whoever wins this is getting this setup. You know, everything you need to cut gears. Oh, it's got a tailstock. That's adjustable height, so that'll have to be dialed in. And there's your keyways. And it's always nice when your keyways line up, so we got to get this thing dialed in and figure out what's going on with it. Nicely made. It's a dead center. It is adjustable in and out. And it's got a locking device here, so you can lock your dead center after you get it in position and get it on your arbor or whatever you're cutting with it. So pretty nice. Oh. That's one bag out of the way. What do we got here? There's 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, and 15 circles. And here's another one. These are not silk screen, these are laser etched. There's 33, 31, 29, 27, 23, and 21. So it's got 2 dividing plates that it comes with. That bag will hold that on the way out. Oh yeah, I guess it will. That's a chunky little guy. Let's get that to the side. Get the rest of this stuff out of here. It's got some pins and stuff I need to get out of the styrofoam. All right, that looks like everything. Put that to the side. Looks like we've got a headstock dead center. And that should be the spring-loaded handle that plugs into the index wheels. Let's get this a little farther unboxed here. Oh, it's got another wheel already installed on it too. And it's got a 3-jaw chuck already installed on it, so we don't have to put that together. You know, for what these cost on Precision Matthews website, really is a bargain. They're not that expensive. And I don't even own one of these. I got my big monster super spacer. I got that big 8-inch. But they call this a B&S 0-5. It's got a swivel head, so you can use it vertically or horizontally. It bolts to the table on 2 slots. They're parallel slots, and it's got a keyway already installed, and your keys go in there and bolt in. They give you hardware for that. So what we're tasked with today is getting those keys cut down and ready to go in, but they need to be step type keys. The keys would have to have this size slot, obviously, because that slot's already cut, but then they need to step down to the size on the milling machine. So we need to go measure those and do all that. And let's see, all the business end of it's on this side. Over here, so all your index wheel and everything's over on this side. The segment looks like it's already installed right there. Here's your segment, and here's your crank wheel. And I believe you take this chuck off and drop in a dead center if you need to. Pretty nice. Okay. Okay, well, we spend a little time in over on the milling machine, and we turn these into kind of a reverse T-nut. But you want these really accurate. These aren't like just regular T-nuts that have to run in the grooves, and you want clearance. You don't want them binding up. You actually want these a pretty snug fit. And the best way to do it, just take an adjustable parallel, drop it in your T-slot, and that gives you room. Just kind of poke it up and where you can get a micrometer on it. And then your keys need to fit in very tightly. So they're fitting pretty snug. And I maintain center. So they're milled center by center. So as long as those milled slots in the bottom of the good. That's a good fit. As long as those milled slots in the bottom of the dividing head and the tailstock are, accurately on center, we should come on here, drop them on, and be able to tram them in, and they should just tram in perfect. What are the odds? Let's find out. Okay, well, our keys are in, and I had to pull off a bunch of blue paint. They were pretty generous with their paint there on that tailstock, and that guy did a thorough job. He even painted inside those keyways. So after cleaning out the blue paint out of there, my keys dropped right in. I didn't even, I just barely got to the metal. Just had the metal showing, and there she was. So the only thing we got to do now. And you literally treat this just like a lathe. At first, drop in your headstock, check your alignment. The only alignment we don't have any adjustment on is in the Y-axis. So we're going to drop this guy in, drop it in a key slot, put a bar in it, and check it for running true to the axis of the machine. Now, as far as our Z movement, our head, we can tip our head. We got a protractor here, and we can tip the head up and down, and we can dial in that alignment. But the fixed alignment, I don't see any way we can adjust that other than cut offset keyways or something like that, or offset keys, make new keys. So everything's got to be right. The table slots in the machine have to be right to the axis of the machine. Those keyways have to be right. That slot has to be cut parallel with the axes of this dividing head to get everything dialed in. And I wouldn't want to see more than half a thou over an inch or two, So, the tighter we are, the better. So let's see how, with all those variables, axis of the machine, T-slots in the table, the keys in this, the key slots in this, and the actual spindle center line, it's going to be interesting to see how close all this gets. So let's go put this stuff on. We'll do the headstock first. We'll have a little fun. We'll throw a bar in there and measure it. Okay, here we go. And let's see how we do on the keyways. Oh yeah, baby. I love that. Zero play there. Let's see if our bolts are the right height. I think we're going to be good. Okay, I got my Indicall hybrid Noga on here. I got an elephant's foot on a tense reading indicator, and I've got it eyeballed square in both directions so the elephant foot comes down nice to the shaft. If you're doing round work, you're better off with a flat indicator tip. That way one reading doesn't throw off the other, because you're reading a round against a round is tough sometimes. Let's get all the friction out of that thing. I think we're good. Let's get it in motion, see if we get any big drops. No. All right, this is right out of the box. I haven't touched the dividing head yet. So, and that is a 30 millimeter ground bar, just sticking out of the chuck. I chucked it in there. So I'm going to say we're good in that axis. That's no tailstock. All we're doing is checking headstock alignment now. So we're going to check it that way, and now we're going to flip it over and check this axis here. But if you're riding a ball against a ball, let's say you had a test indicator with a ball tip on it, or even a drop indicator with a ball tip, you might start off low or high here, sweep across to the middle, and then sweep across to the low side, and you're going to get a low, high, low reading if you're going kind of diagonally across the bar. So always be careful when you're checking a round against a round. You're better off using some kind of a flat tip indicator. Just a fun little nugget to throw in there. All right, let's check it the other direction. Okay, we're top down this time. We're just going to get up on 0, take all the stiction out, move this turkey back and forth, and basically do a big old wiggle. Wiggle, 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 get us on 0. We're up tight to the chuck. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Keeps climbing. I don't know why. Let's try it there. Wiggle, wiggle. There we go. The more I wiggle, the more it comes to there. It's like almost like something slipping. All right. So let's see. Every turn of the handle is 100 thousandths. So 10 turns is 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. Is my gauge broken? Let's do another inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we're 2 inches away from the chuck, and she's starting to fall off. And I think what we're probably starting to see is some bar deflection. Remember, we got no tailstock here. So we might be seeing some bar deflection. See, that's pretty easily deflected. That's just with my hands right there. So that's pretty easy to do. And even the last reading, you get kind of far away from the chuck and the bar deflection starts playing a factor. But you know what? I think, let's go back in our 2 inches. 6, 7, 8. I think Precision Matthews has earned their name. That's pretty good. Okay, so with all those variables, with the key slots and the key cut and the key slot in the bottom of the dividing head and everything, I think we're pretty good as far as alignment on the headstock. We can move on to the tailstock now. But so far, Precision Matthews, they've earned their name. I think that's a pretty good test. Okay, well, we've got our headstock mounted. We checked it with a precision bar, which is good. It ran true all by itself. So we pulled the chuck off and we changed it over to a dead center. Now we're ready to put in our tailstock with our keys. And there's a bunch of ways to check that, I'm going to drop this on, but I'm going to show you a dead simple tool that I made a long time ago for an initial setup. Oh, where's the camera? There it is. This is 2 pucks with centers in them, and it's made out of the same stock. You turn the diameter, doesn't matter what diameter. You part it off. You put a center in each end, and then you put one in the headstock and one in the tailstock, and you can use and just let them rub together and check that alignment, top and side. So we're going to do that as a preliminary. I use this to align my tailstock. This is really simple. That pair of pucks right there. That's some 1045 ground stock is what that is. And you can use a test bar. There's a little test bar I made for setting up the Herrig. My big test bar, this big wonker, I can't even get the whole thing in the camera, I don't think. That's from Edge Technologies. That's a nice test bar. It's got hardened barbells on the ends and lapped in ground centers. That's a real nice test bar. I use that on the lathe for setting up tapers and different things. But it's just too long. I can't get the headstock and the tailstock far enough apart. So we're going to get these landed. I need to get the elevation set first. And before I even think about doing a Y adjustment. So we need to get the Z set up and fixed. I mean, I don't know if it's off. We're going to find out. But then I'm very skeptical that our Y will be in order. And there's a couple ways to do it. You know, we're keying it to the table so we can just drop it on and not worry about it. Or you could tram it in every time you go to use it, which will just piss you off over a lifetime. Or you key it in, make an offset keyways, and then it's a one-trick pony and only fits this machine. So we need to decide what we're going to do. We'll bring you back when we figure it out. Oh, yeah, while I was at it, the new owner of this machine is going to get one entire lot of T-nuts. All he's got to do is throw them in the bandsaw and cut them up. I made him some little dimples there at each cut line. So as long as it's in the DRO and you're drilling and tapping holes, go ahead and put yourself a dimple at each cut line. That way you end up with 1-inch T-nuts. Okay, so the new owner is going to get some extra T-nuts because I was cutting T-nuts and T-grooves anyways. So, all right, so let me get fiddling with this and I'll bring you back. Okay, well, we're bolted back on with our custom set screw keyways. We already zeroed up on this with a mic from last time. So if I hit 1.000 when I bridge these two, then you know what? We got it. So let's get on there and measure it right at that break. There it is. Sneak it out of there without bumping it or breathing on it. There it is. So side to side we got it. I think top to bottom we're a little off. But you know what? That's a super easy fix. That's just a matter of adjusting that tailstock up and down. Well, it's pretty close too. Look at that. That would be 1, 2, 3, yeah, 1/10, 1.5 tenths. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty damn close. Now, this little set of pucks is a wonderful thing to have. You know, from here you've done your preliminary, and this I use this on the lathe. But you know, over there we're riding on ways. Over here we're riding on T-slot grooves. So that tailstock should follow that T-slot groove all the way down. And now we can move on to a test bar if we feel like it. You know, like I showed you before, we got a little 6-inch test bar here. That's hardened and ground 01. And I made that just for setting up my little Herrig spinner on the surface grinder. So that's a nice little barbell just for getting the Herrig set up for grinding. But it would work equally well here. There's no problem with it. And your tailstock on this thing, it uses an Allen wrench here to tighten everything up. So you would have to, every time you want to change a part, you'd loosen here. And then the tailstock is retractable. You got to pull back here and pull your parts out. That's a set of pucks that you can make yourself with centers in them. Make sure they're extremely concentric. Measure everything. If you don't get it right the first time, make it again. And then after you face these interiors, kind of lap them a little bit so they kind of stick together with a drop of oil. See, I didn't lap them that much. But if you put a drop of oil on them, they just kind of float on each other. And it's real easy to detect a thou or two. Checking your tailstock or your something like this, easy to set up. Okay, well, let's keep working on this thing. We're done with the dividing head. I still need to put a DRO on this and bring this to a conclusion. Okay, well, I'm done assembling. We got the DRO put in. That went in without incident. It was plug and play. I actually checked calibration with the dial indicator. Scales are calibrated to the actual unit. I'm pretty familiar with this. I recognize the firmware inside. These are the same that I have on my milling machine and on my lathe. It's my brand is Electronica, but I recognize the button layout and the way the whole thing works. It's got all the same menus. This has got a lathe mode and a milling machine mode, so it's very familiar. Even the bracketry, I recognized all that. This little bar down here, I always stick my plans up with a magnet like that. And there's a reminder, if you want it, work for it. And that's our motto this year. So having your plans and your DRO all set together right there is kind of nice. It's got friction Teflon washers, so you can adjust the tension on the arm. So when you're pushing buttons, the thing's not running away from you. It's a cool little setup. I didn't have to drill or tap a single hole. Precision Matthews did everything. But having said that, you know, the installing the dividing head and the tailstock slowed me down a little bit. I probably got about 4 hours into it. But you know what? If you buy one of these, you're kind of horny to try out your milling machine anyways. So cutting your keys and everything and getting everything lined up is going to be a fun project for you. All right, let's go inside the other side of the shop and talk about some of the other stuff they sent over. And right now what I'm going to talk to you about is how we're going to give this milling machine away. Everyone's going to want to know, hey, how am I going to win this thing? Well, it is for people that attend the bash. There's going to be a bucket here they're going to deposit their raffle tickets into. It's a $20 buy-in for this. We don't want a bunch of tickets in there. And the reason we don't want a bunch of tickets in there, because we're opening it up to the internet. So you guys are going to have a chance to win this too. And again, $20 a head. There's a link below. It's to my website, and you're going to get a chance to purchase your chance to win this exactly the way you see it. Basically a gear cutting setup, you know, dividing head, tailstock, milling machine, stand, DRO, everything in this package out to the internet. All right, your tickets on the internet are going to be rolled into the same ones that from all the attendees, same bucket. So everyone's got the same chance. Hopefully we sell enough tickets to cover shipping. This isn't going to be cheap, and you guys that are overseas think long and hard about this. This machine's probably between 500-600 pounds for shipping weight for, you know, everything you see here, plus what I'm going to show you in on the bench. But this time we're rolling it all together in one giant raffle just for this milling machine. It's a one ticket pull. Winner takes all the marbles. Good luck to you guys, and let's go on the bench and see what else they sent. Okay, well, the parts that they're going to be getting with it are the outside jaws. That's for the 3-jaw chuck that's on the dividing head. You're going to be getting a chuck key, and you get the spring for self-ejecting, so you don't spin up the chuck and throw the chuck key out at you. Oh wait, you can't spin up the chuck. That spring's worthless. So I don't know why they put it on there, but there it is. You get the 3-jaw chuck. So there she is there. So inside and outside jaws for that. And then we've got the dividing plate that's on the head right now. And you get 2 additional ones right there. You get a manual, operating manual and parts list for the dividing head, which looks to be pretty complete and pretty, you know, intuitive as far as if you're going to do change gears, indirect indexing, how to adjust the worm backlash, direct indexing. You know, that thing indexes directly at 15-degree increments, so 15, 30, 60, 90, all that. Blow-up view. They didn't give you any instructions on how to install it and tram it in, but I did that for you. Also, you get the instructions for the 3-axis DRO. And like I said, that's a magnetic scale kit, and you're going to love the LCD. The buttons on there can be worked with just gloves. You don't. It's not like a cell phone touch screen. So if you got gloves on, if you got oil and grease all over your hands, no big deal. It's one solid membrane all the way up the front. You can wipe the whole thing clean. So it's a pretty nice DRO, and it's one that I'm familiar with. All right, so you get all that with the milling machine. Now, let's talk about a couple things that they sent just for regular Raffle. I haven't taken it out of the bag. It's an R8 keyless chuck. And it's got a hook spanner that comes with it. If you get stubborn and try to tap with it, that's you're going to need it. These things are like a cam lock inside, and if you hyper torque them, they are going to lock up on you, and you're not going to be able to spin it off by hand, and you're going to need that wrench. So I learned a long time ago, never try to power tap with an Albrecht style chuck, but if you do lock one up, you got a wrench in there to cut it loose. So we've got that. Next up, we've got they call this an AXA master set. Let's see what this is. This has, it's actually pretty nice. It's got 2 different sizes of boring bars, 5 different tool holders, left, right, center, and then 2 types of inserts. You got the polished hooked ones for aluminum, and it's got the, I don't know whether those are negative. This might be negative inserts for heavier steels and stuff. So you've got some for your softer materials, some for your harder materials. So nice lathe toolkit. So that's for regular Raffle. And we're going to split those two between online and offline. And then I had to make a choice on this. This is so heavy. Oh! And it's going to be hard getting this to the right people. What we got here, it looks like an ER, it says ER40 on it. We've got an ER40 chuck. And this is a D1 back chuck. I haven't even taken it out of the bag. The bag's not open. There's your D1 back. That's a 3-stud back. This it says it's a D1-4 back. So it's got that in the back, and then out front it's showing, yep, ER40. So that's basically goes right on your lathe, and then it's got an adjust true back here. So you would adjust this backing plate to take out your run out. And then he also sent a full set of collets. There's a full collet set there that fits in that chuck. So this is a package for sure. And this is too heavy to ship. That we're gonna keep this here for all the attendees. These are all your studs and pins and locking stuff for the cam lock in the back of that. And the packaging is wonderful. Instructions and a spanner for that kit. So that's the D1-4 by ER40 collet setup by Precision Matthews right there. So that's a Raffle, and that's with collets. Okay, guys, that's it for this video. I know it ran long. We were working on the machine, getting it set up for gears and stuff, but I had kind of a good time doing it. I hope to see you at the bash. Remember, if you are a student and you send me a copy of your student ID, you get in for free. All right, and make sure you register for the gear class. I may have to turn some people away after offering what I just offered a little while ago. We do have a limited supply of spaces for that class. All right, appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.